fired, and it was reported across the street at the City Hall in Coral Gables. As the suspects fled the area, they hijacked a UPS truck and kidnapped the driver. Shortly after, law enforcement began efforts to try to locate the truck and did so, which resulted in a high-speed pursuit through not only Dade County, but as you heard, through Broward County, ending here in the city of Miramar. The armed suspects engaged law enforcement, opened fire. There was exchange fire between law enforcement and the suspects, and unfortunately, the suspects are now deceased, but 2 additional innocent civilians were also deceased. The FBI is leading the investigative effort on this matter, working in coordination and conjunction with all of the agencies that you see here. It's very early in the investigative process. There are a lot of questions that are still unanswered, and we will be working throughout the night as we not only process the crime scenes, but also try to identify all of the evidence and facts associated with this robbery. We will be providing updates as we move forward on this investigative efforts through both social media and through our PIOs collectively, and try to keep you as informed as we possibly can. I do want to close with our condolences go to the families of the deceased of today's unfortunate incident. And I'll be taking very few questions regarding...
The 2 innocent people, those would be the driver and the UPS driver and a bystander?
That's correct.
Is there a possibility that either of them could have been hit by gunfire from police officers?
As I mentioned earlier, it is very, very early on in the investigation, and it would be completely inappropriate to discuss that. We have just began to process the crime scene. As you can imagine, this is going to be a very complicated crime scene. As well, there's multiple other crime scenes: the jewelry store, the location where the carjacking, kidnapping occurred. The suspects did fire on law enforcement as they were evading law enforcement. So this is going to be something that we're going to be collectively spending a long time to try to piece together. So to provide any kind of information like that would be very inappropriate at this time.
And where was that innocent bystander shot? Was it in the jewelry store or here?
The innocent bystander was shot here at this location. Okay, I'd like to again thank you all. I want to provide the opportunity for any of my other...
May I just ask, we had heard perhaps, it appear they were using the driver as some sort of shield?
Again, it's really too early to provide that kind of information, and as we have numerous interviews to conduct, as you can imagine, so providing any information could really influence those interviews, so we want to be very, very careful.
Is there any information to how a high-speed chase like this was stopped? I mean, what was the timeline like? As I mentioned, the robbery occurred at 4:14. The carjacking occurred at approximately 4:36 p.m. Shortly after the UPS truck was located by law enforcement, and the pursuit began, and it ended here. So you can kind of piece together the timeline of...
Where was the shooting first? When the suspects first shot at police, where was that?
The first shooting occurred during the actual high-speed chase, and again, it's too early for us to kind of go over that kind of details.
What kind of weapons did the 2 individuals have?
It's really too early for us to provide that kind of information. Again, we don't want to taint a lot of the witness interviews and that we're going to conduct, so we want to be able to keep that information objective and fresh, and so that we can have the best provided to us.
How did different agencies coordinate, different departments coordinate as this was unfolding?
Last question.
I'm sorry?
How did the different agencies and departments here coordinate as this was unfolding?
This is truly a good illustration of the incredible collaboration and partnerships that law enforcement agencies in South Florida have. As the robbery took place, within the city of Coral Gables, the robbery was reported. Law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, became aware, began to respond to the scene, and as the carjacking occurred, that information was broadcasted to all law enforcement agencies and quickly was located. And as the high-speed pursuit continued to evolve, agencies began to assist and support each other.
Can you touch at all on the policy?
Again, that was the last
engaging
question.
the
Thank
suspect?
you very much.
Thanks.
That was-
In Spanish? Do we have any sound in Spanish? Alvaro.
Back-to-back breaking news updates. You saw them both from Florida and from Minnesota right here on Fox